then have the role of the polar star. Which means if you take a photograph for a few hours at the night sky in the northern hemisphere, you see the stars as circles. And in the middle of these concentric circles, there is a fixed point. That's where now the polar star is, and again, in a few thousand years, this will be a completely different star, because the Earth axis will point to a different position in the sky.
To the ancients, this shifting of the polar star and the precession of the equinox through the constellations of the zodiac acted as a giant clock of the ages. Although today the ages are marked by the vernal equinox, the ancients used the autumnal equinox as the hour hand of the ages. Each constellation of the zodiac takes roughly 2,000 years to pass through the equinox, with a complete cycle taking around 24,000 years, the great year.
The cycle, as taught by the ancient Indian sages and also by Swami Sri Yukteswarji, who was just recent, is 24,000 years approximately, 24,000 year cycle, of which 12,000 years is ascending and 12,000 years is descending.
Ancient Indian and Greek cultures divided this great year into two halves, ascending and descending cycles of 12,000 years each. Each half was comprised of 4 parts. The Greeks called them the Iron, Bronze, Silver, and Golden Ages. The great sages of India called these ages Yugas, and they were divided into the Kali, Dwapara, Treta, and Satya Yugas. The Iron Age, or Kali Yuga, was a dark time for civilization. The Golden Age, or Satya Yuga, was the age of enlightenment. An awareness of these changing ages can be seen in Mithraic temples and statues.
The bull slaying scene very often is framed by 2 figures, Kautis and Kautapatis, young men holding a torch up and holding a torch down. And I think the most plausible explanation now on the table is that these represent day, night, growth, decay. And so we have a kind of inauguration, in a way, to the cosmic progression.
Over a period of time, man's ability to comprehend what is going on changes, and that in a certain part of that cycle he is only able to use a certain part of his brain, and then he uses more and more as time goes on, is able to express things and understand nature and what is happening, and the whole process of creation is going on in a better way. Then after a period of time it goes on in a descending cycle, and that is gradually lost again.
It is often said that history repeats itself, but we are not used to looking at history over such a long period. The great year provides a method to track long periods of time and perhaps the rise and fall of civilization.
Kali Yuga is basically the age of materialism. The normal individual in that age has no conception of the existence of things that he cannot perceive or connect with through his senses and his mind. More subtle forces for the general person that age would be beyond their comprehension. They simply could not imagine such a thing.
The last Kali Yuga, or Iron Age, coincided with the worldwide Dark Age of the medieval era. Famed author and historian H.G. Wells described this time.
Our histories of these times are very imperfect. There were few places where men could write, and little encouragement to write at all. But we know enough to tell that this age was an age not merely of war and robbery, but of famine and pestilence. To many in those dark days it seemed that all learning and all that made life seemly and desirable was perishing.
As time progressed, the Kali Yuga came to a close, and the